Shalom. Kol Halo Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai Bahasham Lakakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more so than ever. The 144,000, the scattered elect that was scattered around the four corners of the earth among the heathen, and those of my brethren that do this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more so than ever. Right? And to the few Akwaf that are listening and learning, to you I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you another lesson. As a matter of fact, this is going to be part 2 of Scott Ritter. All right, Scott Ritter stated it that Israelis cannot win. All right, and if you haven't watched this guy, I highly suggest that you look at his information. I believe they're going to eventually start getting rid of a lot of his stuff. Just like they always do to people to tell the truth. And this guy is like beyond an insider. This guy is a former U.S. Marine Corps intelligence officer. All right, you can't get any closer to the top, to insider information than that. All right, and he was also the former UN weapons inspector, so he knows all about the lies, and he's come forward and spoken about a lot of them. All right, and a lot of things that America and the Israelis have been involved in and been behind, and the public has gotten a complete spin doctor version of the truth, very disingenuous version, of the truth. Because you just can't believe these people, So let me grab a scripture. Salaki, I just got a message. I need to read that. Bear with me one moment. All right. Salakia. It's like everyone wants to message me all at the same time. I mean, literally, 4 or 5 messages came all in. A couple from brothers and a couple from clients that I was, for tomorrow, getting the schedules ready. But let's get back to the mission at hand. And you just can't believe the things that come out of Esau's mouth, because they're just they're liars. All right, and they're being found liars. This is Deuteronomy 33 and 28, 29. Happy art thou, Israel, who is like unto thee, O people saved by Yahweh, the shield of thy help, and who is the sword of thy excellency, and thy enemy shall be found liars unto thee, and thou shalt tread upon their high places. You have to think about it. We're looking at Benjamin Netan, not a JOO, all right, who was a perpetual liar, all right, a murderous liar, an apartheid leader, and to the point to his own people were coming against him, all right, and the Western media has kind of, silenced that and not really shown that portion, all right. And you really can't believe what's coming out of their mouths. And John Ritter is one of those people who is sounding the alarm. I mean, not John Ritter, Scott Ritter here. So let's go back to the video that we were looking at in part 1, because these things are bringing on, food crises and all manner of issues. Remember, you got a bank right here in America, Citizens Bank, collapsed Saturday, which was yesterday. Friday, they had problems with the three biggest banks, all right, being Wells Fargo, Bank of America, and JP Morgan with deposits. Still don't know if those people were waiting on their deposits, have gotten them yet, And all those people that when Citizens Bank went under, to what I've heard, to the information that I've heard so far, all those people who lost money, that money is just gone. All right, it's not like they're gonna get that money back. Okay. And all this is going to lead up to, as I said, will the war with Hamas harmed Israel's food supply? All right, and guess what? The food supply is being harmed here in America and in the West. Remember, Ukraine, and in the rest of the West. Remember, Ukraine was the biggest, producer of grain. So that's been food problems, and food prices have already been through the roof ever since this Ukraine war started. And it's not like it's getting any better. All right?
Iranian government. So this brings us to the question of, will war with Hamas harm Israel's food supply? Remember, Lebanon, most people don't realize, who is not entirely synonymous with Hezbollah, is seeing 170% inflation this year. 170%. That is hyperinflation. That's well beyond hyperinflation. If we had that here, it would be the end of the world. It would be Mad Max in most people's mind.
And if you don't think that that's on its way, that's going to happen here, you are out of your mind. You are literally out of your mind. That is very well on its way. As a matter of fact, let's go to 2nd Ezra. That's exactly what's going to happen. And it's already happened. Remember, in the last video, I told you that I may have mentioned it already, but I'll mention it again. The police here in Chicago, and someone said on the comment board that they're doing it in their state. I forget which state in the last video, but they're doing the same thing in their state, that the police are showing up to the food banks and they're collecting up the food and they're giving it to the migrants. So the American citizens who were dependent on those food banks are not getting the food. The migrants are getting it. You have people here in Chicago who have been waiting on, affordable housing and different housings and things of that nature, and they're not getting it. They're not getting Section 8 and all these other. It's all going to going to the migrants. And I do believe too that the migrants that are being put up into these fancy hotels, these luxury hotels that weren't really being used, all right, post pandemic, a lot of them that went into these different hotels and fancy health clubs that they're using to hold them up in. Chicago has a lot of these very fancy upscale clubs, where you could go and work out and shower and stuff like that. A lot of and play sports, tennis, and all that whole sort of thing. A lot of places like that in Chicago, and a lot of those places are being used also to house these people. And I believe that those are the soldiers that are going to be used for martial law as the draft comes in America, and they take all the soldiers away, America, over to the Valley of Jehoshaphat. When they remove far off the Northern Army, that prophecy is about to come true. All right. Just had to state those things. All right. My mind is faster than my tongue sometimes. So I was getting ready to pull something up, but Lord willing, the Lord will bring it back. Let's let him speak a little bit more.
So Lebanon has 170% inflation. Lebanese fuel, diesel, and wheat reserves can only last 1 month. So if they go to all-out war, where are they going to get all this stuff from? Yes, they have the Russians who are kind of supplying them with air defense systems. They're seemingly supporting them in other ways. So sure, they have the Iranians who obviously have a lot of fuel at their disposal. There's no shortage of fuel there. Iranians, I believe, are net importers of food as well. They have around
importers of food. The Lord brought it back. 2nd Ezra 15 and 14. And matter of fact, I started 13. And they that till the ground shall mourn, for their seed shall fail through the blasting of hell and with the fearful consolation. So you had a lot of weather that was sent from on high that destroyed a lot of crops. Not to mention that you also had Esau, doing things to farmers, and to where farmers weren't producing the same amounts of food. Okay. And so as we head into what they keep saying is this dark winter, because our food reserves are extremely low and it may not be enough, to get us through. All right. And that's why prices are continually just skyrocket. And we're getting closer to the BRICS, digital system, which the information that's been given is that the American dollar will be quite worthless. It's going to basically, the BRICS system, when the BRICS currency, digital currency goes online, it will be the reserve currency of the world, not the dollar anymore. And it would take 55 American dollars to equal one BRICS dollar. So just keep that in mind as the prices that we're already paying. We're talking about crazy hyperinflation. You're finally going to see those $10, $15 for a gallon of gas, $10, $15 for a gallon of milk, all that sort of thing. Carton of eggs, $10, $15. It's going to get nuts out here, and it's going to get that quick. And the job situation is also getting very bad. And a lot of Americans just don't want to work anymore. They don't want to go to college anymore. They don't see any benefit to it. Just like a lot of men don't see the benefit of getting married here in Babylon. All right? Because getting married is, you get more sex when you're not married according to Esau's law, according to the paperwork marriage. All right? And you don't have to worry about losing half your stuff and then or going to work and almost 50%, more than 50% of your pay, which leaves you with not enough to survive on yourself, going to to the state and to child support. And these are the things that men don't want to deal with now. They've seen so many of their fathers, uncles, and older men, the younger guys have seen so many guys go through this. They're opting out of relationships. They're opting out of marriage. They're opting out of commitment to women. All right. So all this, it's just a failing system, no matter how you cut it. And there's going to be no food, which is going to bring on all these problems, even more problems in the world. Verse 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. In the prior video, we talked about that. We talked about Elder Barra out of Chicago's video about the disgruntled American and all the militias and the people who are literally, on the cover, the thumbnail for that video is a bunch of Americans with AR-15s and assault rifles and stuff. With the one guy with the tattoo across his forearm, "We are the people." The people are ready to go against their princes and their judges. All right, and it says, "For there shall be sedition among men." I'm gonna read 15. Again, "For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another. It's swords in their hands." The modern day sword is the firearm. All right, the ultimate modern day sword is the missile. It says, "For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another, and they shall not regard their kings nor princes. And the course of their actions shall stand in their power." All right, so people are going to start going against one another. And all these preppers, I was talking to a Rala, and he was talking to he's talking about an Edomite at work that's in his 50s now, like 50 years old. And the Edomite told him that ever since he was 18, so he's 50 now. So you do the math. Ever since he was 18 years old, he's taken $200 of his check and bought ammunition. So this guy's sitting on a heavy stockpile of ammunition. And then he also said that how he knocked out his walls in his home, the drywall, and he put steel up in the walls. All right, and then put drywall over the steel, so that so he can be barricaded in. Basically, the only way they're gonna get him out of his house is burning it, and and the smoke is what will get him, because the steel's not gonna burn like that, and a house fire won't burn hot enough to melt steel. All right, think about that and what other implication that can be added to. All right, but nevertheless, thinking about this guy telling him that, that means his friends and families, and he told this to a Jake, to a nigger. So how many people of his own people you think know about him and his? So guess what? He made himself a target because people that are close to him, when they're desperate and hungry, they're gonna remember that, hey, he's got, and even if he has just stockpiles of guns, they're gonna come for those or the rounds, the bullets, because they're gonna figure, well, if I can get a hold of that, then I can go out and get and take food. That's why there's gonna be sedition and people going to turn on another. So a lot of these preppers are gonna become targets, and a lot of these preppers are going to and a lot of these people who are prepping for the race wars to fight against, people that are brown, they're actually going to end up killing and murdering each other over food supplies, guns, and things of that nature. So it's just going to be this massive, crazy free for all. Jacob's trouble. It's coming. All right. And it says, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another, and they shall not regard their kings nor princes, and in the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, going to have checkpoints, or simply just going to be not going to be safe in some cases. You're going to have, you got to remember, like when the floods happened down in Louisiana, Katrina, people that walked across that bridge trying to get away from the flood. Not trying to loot or steal or rob, just literally trying to get to a safer place. Well, they got shot down. All right. Found out it wasn't safe to cross that bridge. All right. So you're just going to have people that are going to be doing that. You walk across the wrong street, come across the wrong field, you're going to be met with fire. You're going to be met with dogs, sword, baseball bat, whatever it be. All right? And they're not going to care that you're hungry and you're tired or you're wounded or you're just trying to find shelter for the night. They're going to look at you as you're a danger to me, or you're trying to come and take mine. Or it's just going to be just pure racial hatred, which there's more than enough of that. All right? So it's going to get really bad out here. And it says, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, and houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. And a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods, because of the lack of bread, and for the great tribulation. So people are going to kick in their own neighbor's door, and ravage their houses, spoil their houses, ravage their wives and daughters, and take their goods. All right? Some are going to kick in their doors and just occupy it. It's like, well, your setup is better than mine. So what are they going to do with the men or the people there? Well, they're going to eliminate them, throw them out in the alley. Look, it's going to be no running water, no garbage pickup, dead bodies everywhere. Rats and dogs and beasts eating on the dead bodies, and just the stench of dead people and animals, and people with their attack dogs and the dogs being shot, and it's just gonna be disgusting. It's just gonna be bad, man. It's gonna be really, really bad. People have no idea. We're really truly headed towards some apocalyptic type details, and because it's gonna get bad before the Lord comes back. All right, and that's not gonna last for year and year after year after year like they show you in the movies. But you're going to have to endure this, and a lot of people are going to die during that time. All right? And then, of course, at the last, those who survive that are not of the elect are going to be missile food. Because the missiles are going to come and end it all. And that at that time, will the elect, because, that whole rapture thing, that's fake. Only people getting lifted up are the elect of Israel that are here on the shores of Babylon. All right? And those who have already died who serve the Lord, who are among the elect, they're going to get raised up first, and then the rest of the elect is going to go up in them, all right? And they're going to go up into the chariots, which they're fraudulently and falsely and erroneously calling UFOs. That's why they're showing up. They're going to come and they're going to participate in the destruction, but they're also going to be the salvation for the Lord's elect. All right. When this day comes, and this destruction that's coming is going to start, in the among Israel. Trying to get to Peter. This is First Peter's 4:17. It says, "For the time has come that judgment must begin at the house of God. And if it first began at us, what shall be the end of them that obey not the gospel?" So these miscellaneous camps who don't follow the doctrine, who make up doctrine, who don't use the precepts, or who don't allow the precepts to be their guide, and don't acknowledge the truth that's in the scriptures, don't acknowledge the MOTB, and things of that nature. They're gonna be these victims here. All right. And those who mislead the flock into carnal ways and not spiritual ways. It says, and if the righteous scarcely be saved, where should the ungodly and the sinner appear? All right. So the righteous are going to barely be saved, because they're going to go up into, the chariots. But the rest of Israel is, it's going to be bad for them. All right. And this is 2 Peter 3 and 7. And it says, "But the heavens and the earth, which are now by the same word are kept in store, reserved unto fire against the day of judgment and the perdition of ungodly men." The perdition, the men who are the sons of perdition, is Esau, Edom. All right, referring you back to Ezekiel 36:5. Amalek, who's put the land of the Lord into their own hands and parted it. All right. So the land has been parted by the Edomites. And you remember the war between the Edomites, the rabbis referring to white Christianity, white Christians as Edom, and then you got some sects, some portions of the white Christians, so-called, because there's no such thing as white people, they self-proclaim themselves that, but they're referring to the Talmud worshipers as, the Edomites. And the truth be said, they're all Edomites. All right. 2 Peter 3:8. "But beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing, that one day with the Lord is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is as one day." All right. So 1,000 years to us is only one day with the Lord. So, so we're in the third day. So the Lord's been dead 2/3. He said he would return in the third day. Well, we're in the third day. All right. It says, "But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night." And he's giving you all the signs. So that day is near. All right. "In which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat, and the earth shall, and all the works therein shall be burned up." What can burn up? Concrete, and mountains, and dry up lakes and rivers. All right. Fire. All right. ICBM fire with the Spirit of the Lord in it. All right. And those 100, and those millions of chariots are going to be firing off fire, laser beams as well. All right. Just like in Sodom and Gomorrah, it rained down nuclear fire. It's going to do that again. All right. It says, "Seeing that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons ought ye to be?" All right. "In all holy conversation and godliness." You should be talking about the scriptures, talking about the prophecies. All right. Elevating and lifting up and reaching out to the Lord's elect. All right. He told we're supposed to prophesy until he comes. Occupy until he comes. What? Doing these scriptures. In these scriptures, going out on the highways and byways and teaching until the famine of the word comes. That's near too. "Looking for and hasting unto the coming of the day of power, wherein the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat." All right. And what can melt the elements? The very elements. All right. that ICBM fire. So everyone's going to have a day, like Sarah Connor did in the movie. Those you've seen the Terminator know what I'm talking about. Because that day is coming. But it's not going to be robots that do it. It's going to be the Lord putting the spirit on Esau, Edom to do it to themselves. All right. So with that, I'm going to give all praises, going honor unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham Rakakwadash, Kwam Yasharala, Shalom.